Welcome back to the Blood Bear channel. In this video, we will be reviewing the Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I just finished this about 2 days ago, and then yesterday I wrote the script for this. I've been wanting... I saw this at Barnes & Noble, and I'm like, oh, Lord of the Flies, I kind of want to read that. And then I was going to watch the movie. I haven't done that yet. But I also thought it would be a cool idea to start reading some of the, because I haven't really read any of them, start reading some of the classics here, and have a playlist for the classics, my reviews on some of the classics as well. The classics, like Lord of the Flies, will be going in that playlist, but it will also be going in the standalone book playlist as well. So they will be in both of those as well. So if you want later on, if I do more of these, it'll be in the classics playlist. So if you just want to see my reviews of the classics, then you can go there. But then it'll also be in the standalone book playlists. So as for, these are going to be like normal reviews, so it'll be still cover like the plot, characters, world building, emotional impact, and structure of the book, and still be graded the same, on the same scale. For like other classics that I kind of want to do, I was looking more like into like The Catcher in the Rye, Of Mice and Men, The Odyssey, and I actually have a copy of The Animal Farm as well. So anyways, I'm kind of tossing this thing around a bit. I also really love this cover for this. I like the cover. It looks very good in this one. I'm sure there's like lots of different printings of that book, but I really like the cover design for that one. Anyways, without further ado, we're going to just jump straight on in with the plot here. So there are going to be spoilers, so if you haven't read the book or seen any of the movies or anything like that, then go read or watch those if you don't want any spoilers. If you want spoilers, then I guess stay. Why not? Right? Alright, anyways, jumping into the plot here, I gave the plot of the book a 9 out of 10. I kind of really enjoyed it, especially the end, towards like the ending of the book was really good. We'll do a little recap here, I guess. So we start off with the boys, the school boys. Like there's like a plane crash, I think. It destroys a bunch of the trees and whatnot. And we start with Ralph, and then kind of just being a free spirit and meeting Piggy for the first time. Ralph then like kind of ignores Piggy for the most part, while Piggy talks about his aunt and his asthma and what the hell's going on the island, until they eventually come across a lagoon, and in the lagoon Ralph takes a dip into the water. A lagoon, and it's like I had a hard time picturing the island, because like they describe like a lagoon and a beach, and then there's like a separate pond nearby that they would like bathe in or something, and then there was like the mountain with these pink stones, which I think the pink stones are referring to like granite or something along those lines, and then the rest of the island was jungle, I think, which the lagoon like reef area and the pool kind of are what confused me the most. Anyways, on the beach they find a conch shell. Piggy tells Ralph to blow it after he gets it, and then the loud noise summons the rest of the children on the island. They don't know if they're on the island yet or not, and then them blowing that horn and having all of the other kids show up basically confirms that there are no adults on the island right then. And then this is also when the last to arrive is a group of choir boys, where Jack is the leader of said choir boys. And then there's like as they're doing the meeting, Jack's like, hey, well, we should have a leader. And then it's like, okay, let's vote on who should be chief then. And the vote goes, and they vote for Ralph, pretty much. Ralph wins the election. He becomes the chief, which kind of sours Jack's mood, because I feel like he is very into his authority. And then, after that, Ralph picks Simon and Jack to go up. I think it was Simon, to go up with him to the mountain to confirm that they are on an island, and tells Piggy to do basically like a head count and get everybody's names and stuff, and then they just run off. Piggy doesn't really get a chance to do this because after Ralph and them leave, the kids kind of just go about their own business, because they don't have a plan while they're here, right? So yeah, they go up the mountain, find out they're on an island, then they come back down. Nothing has gotten done, obviously, and then they have like another meeting, where they then decide that they need to start a signal fire to alert any ships or planes or anything so that they can be rescued. This excites everyone, so then they rush up the mountain again and then build the fire, only to then realize that they don't know how to start a freaking fire. So then Piggy eventually gets up, then Ralph or somebody takes his glasses and uses the lens of Piggy's glasses to start the fire, which then everybody celebrates the fire, and Piggy just gets his glasses back, and then just like, you guys are all freaking idiots. We have no plan. I couldn't, this kid that mentioned that there was like some sort of like beast out there, he's gone. I have no idea where he is. Nobody even noticed he was missing except for me. I only know because he has that distinct mark on his face that he is gone, because I couldn't do a proper head count, because as soon as you left, everybody went to go do their own thing, and then as soon as you got back, you said fire, then you ran up the mountain. I had no time to collect any data on anybody, so nobody noticed that this kid that mentioned a beast is missing, and then y'all started this fire with no planning whatsoever, not account, and then like the forest catches on fire, and then he's like, yeah, look how dumb you guys are, you just started a freaking forest fire. And then everybody kind of like, shit, he's kind of right. Anyways, then they kind of go back down. Piggy suggests that they make shelters on the beach. They get like 3 of them up before, and the last one was literally just Ralph and Simon making it, because everybody else got bored. And also, on the way back from the mountain from the first time, Ralph puts Jack in charge of the hunters, so they will hunt down animals for food and whatnot, and that the choir boys are also a part of that, right? And they're also trying to keep the fire going so that they will have that signal going as well. But yeah, so then everybody else who is not a hunter or anything is supposed to be building the shelters. They get bored, stop building the shelters. Jack and the choir boys don't care to help build the shelters at all. They only want to hunt. Jack only wants to hunt because he couldn't kill a pig the first time, so he feels like he needs to kill. He needs to prove that he can kill. And then eventually he does. He does eventually. Anyways, Sam and Eric are on fire duty, and Jack is on the hunt for a pig. He wants to get that kill, prove his worth, and all that, and recruits Sam and Eric onto the hunt, even though they're on fire duty. They're supposed to keep the fire going. They join Jack, right? Because he's the second most. So it goes Ralph, and then Jack is the second highest authority on the island, I would say. So then Sam and Eric, who are twins, join up with Jack to go on this pig hunt. And then while Ralph and Simon are finishing up that third shelter because it fell down while he was talking. While Ralph was talking to Jack about nobody helping build the huts. Piggy can't because he can't really do physical labor because of his asthma. But anyways, other than that, Jack recruits Sam and Eric. They go hunting a pig. They end up killing a pig, getting that kill and bringing it back to the mountain to cook it. But when they get back to the mountain, there is Ralph, Simon, and Piggy is there also. He kind of lagged behind, but he's also there. I think there was one other person there because I think there was like 4 of them, but I don't remember who that character was. Because like there's only a couple like characters that are actually like important that show up like quite a few times, which is Jack, Ralph, Piggy, Simon, Sam, and Eric. Like probably the most, I would say, relevant characters. So while they were building the hut, though, Ralph and Simon noticed a ship, basically. And then Piggy saw, I was like, guys, are my eyes right? Because the smoke was not up. There was no fire. Like, the smoke wasn't rising. So then they rushed to the mountain, only to find that Sam and Eric are not there. The fire's gone out. There is no smoke signal. The boat leaves without ever seeing that they were on the island, which really pisses Ralph off because they were this close to being rescued. This close. If the fire was going, they would have done it. And then they all come back, like the hunters, so Jack and Sam and Eric all come back with the pig, and they're celebrating, and then they reenact their kill, and they're all happy, and then, Ralph is pissed at them, which, makes sense. Which kind of gets under Jack's skin. But they do end up, like, Ralph gives Jack a big lecture. This is what I think gets under his skin a lot. Jack gets really mad. I think, he also, Piggy kind of joins in, and then, he hits Piggy down or something, and then, which causes one of the lens in Piggy's glasses to break. So then he only has the one lens on his glasses, and then eventually they relight the fire and they cook the pig and they eat up there. And then that also kind of shows how bad a leader Ralph is. He gets better, but he's kind of bad because he doesn't punish anyone for doing wrong or anything. He just lectured Jack, and then that was it. So, anyways, kind of getting off track here, we're recapping the story. They then go to... then most of the time takes up with the beast, because more of the little kids that are like 6 years old-ish, claim to have seen the beast again coming out of the water, and the bigger kids, who I think are probably around 10 or so, still think that this is not true. The beast is made up. It's a false thing. Or as Trump would say, it's fake news. It's fake news, okay? All the media is fake news. Right? That's what he would say. Anyways, they think it's fake. And then they're like, well, we can go figure out if it's real. And so Ralph accompanies the hunters on a part of the island. Jack was adamant that it's not real because he's been everywhere on the island pretty much. But he hasn't, because then they're like, well, I guess there is that steeper side of the mountain that I haven't really been to. So they then go there. I think before that happens, they still don't believe it, and then Sam and Eric get spooked at night and run down the mountain because the beast is there, and they're like, okay, fine, we will investigate the island more thoroughly to see if the beast is real. And so they go to this area, which is later called Castle Rock, because it's a very fortified area where there's More like the granite rock is on there, and it's like you have to climb up to get up over there. Ralph goes first because the other boys are too scared, including Jack. He's too scared to go first, and they eventually like climb up there, but they find nothing. So then they continue their search until eventually it starts getting darker, and they're like, okay, let's head back. The beast might still be up in the mountain. Let's go check up the mountain. And then they get to like kind of like the base of the mountain, and everybody's kind of really tired because they've been hiking all day, right? They've been hiking to and like around the island pretty much all day. Ralph sees that they're tired. It's also almost dark, so like they won't really be able to see anyways. I also think one of the kids like twisted their ankle or something. Anyways, I don't really remember that scene particularly well. And then so Ralph wants to rest and let the other hunters like catch breath and stuff before they head up the mountain, and probably wait for daylight so that they'll actually be able to see. But then Jack was like, "Oh, you're just a coward. I get it. You're just a coward. I'll go up by myself." Like, also showing that Jack is a terrible leader. He doesn't care about the wellness of his followers at all, and he just wants to head up the mountain because, dude was kind of a coward earlier, not wanting to go first at the Castle Rock, and Ralph went first, and so then that gets under Ralph's skin, and he joins them, and so does another kid named Roger. The three boys then go up the mountain. They see what they think is the beast, and then they bolt on out of there. They get the hell out. It's like humanoid. It's got like claws and everything. So they get the hell out of there and return back to the beach camp. And then once back at the beach camp, they call a meeting. They're like, yeah, we saw the beast. It's up on the mountain. We're not going to be able to have a fire up there anymore. And then Jack is like, yeah, Ralph is a coward. He ran away from the beast. I'm sick and tired of following his orders. Whoever wants to compete with me, I think I should be chief. He's got nothing done. And then nobody agrees with Ralph. Nobody agrees with Jack. At least not publicly. Jack then leaves. And he's like, I'm going to Castle Rock. And then he leaves. And then slowly, I think also slowly the hunters start leaving with him, and then slowly even more of the boys start quietly leaving, especially after Jack comes back. He's like, hey, we got a pig, and he steals some of the fire, because Piggy suggested that it's like, oh, we can still have a fire down here, it just won't be as effective as if it was on the mountain, because it won't go as high, it won't be able to be seen from as far, and it won't be as useful at night because the light really won't shine through, right? Like, whereas like on the mountain it would act like as a lighthouse that ships would be able to see the fire light from farther away. Anyways, so they start doing that. Then Jack kills a pig, he kills another pig, and then he's like, oh, we'll leave this pig's head for the beast so that way it won't harm us. And then they're like, hey, and then he comes back, it's like, we're gonna have a feast. For anyone who wants to join, come, like, everyone's invited. Come to Castle Rock, and we'll have some meat, and it'll be great. And they also steal some fire so that they can cook the pig. And then everybody goes, like everybody except for Simon. Simon does not attend this meeting, this feast, and he actually did not hear about the feast invite because he was off by himself somewhere. Meeting with the Lord of the Flies, actually, which we will get to later. Anyways, they then go to that, like it's literally just Piggy and Ralph there at the beach camp. So they're like, okay, everybody's literally gone. Let's just go check out this feast. Also, Piggy's like, I kind of want some meat, to be honest. So then they go, and then they eat meat. They eat some meat there. And then Jack is also like, hey, whoever wants to join us, come and join us. We'll be the best, right? And then I think, so yeah, then Simon is talking to the Lord of the Flies, it's kind of creeping him out, right? It's like, so the Lord of the Flies is just a decaying pig head on a stick where flies are like flying, buzzing all around him, all around the pig head. That's really freaking him out. So Simon goes up and kind of goes to the top of the mountain and learns that the beast was actually just like a dead guy with like a parachute on his wings. Anyways, a storm is brewing, and then Ralph and Jack are talking back and forth. And he's like, okay, well, how do you plan on sheltering all these people? You need shelters. A storm is coming, and you need shelters, because like Ralph is still trying to get Jack to come back, and because he doesn't want the group to be split up, right? So they're trying to get that, and then the rain starts happening, and the thunder starts, spreading all throughout, and the little kids get really scared, which causes the big kids to start kind of getting a little scared, and so then they start something to distract them. They start reenacting one of their hunts for the pig. They're all like, kill the pig, just cut her throat, right, beat her in, right, and chanting all that. And then, as the storm is, happening, bursts through the trees. Simon's running down the hills because he's like, hey, I gotta tell everyone that the beast isn't real. The beast was just a dead, like, paratrooper or whatever, because this is all happening during, like, I think it's either the end of World War II-ish or something along those lines. I'm not entirely sure. But it's like an end of, like, the war was kind of ending, but, like, still kind of going on. So he's, like, running down the mountain and sees the cook fire, smoke from the cook fire, and he's like, oh, they've moved over there. Okay, I'll go over there. And so he runs down, bursts through the trees while they're all scared and doing their like, chanting and reenactment. And eventually, Simon actually finds himself in the center, and they're like, it's the beast, and they start beating and hitting and beating and hitting and beating and hitting and beating and hitting, all chanting they're still chanting, they're like, kill him, cut his throat, it's the beast. And they're like, and then eventually everything stops, and Simon is all the while still calling out, it's like, the beast isn't real, it was just a dead guy in a parachute on the mountain. And I think also during this, like, the wind catches that corpse's, like, parachute and, like, carries him off into the ocean, where he then later dies. And then Simon is also killed here. Simon gets beat to death by the other boys while he's kind of, like, pleading. He's like, hey, stop it, I'm just trying to tell you guys what happened, what's going on. So that's what happens. And then later, Ralph, Piggy, Sam, and Eric are the only 4 boys to return to the beach camp, where obviously there's no more fire, the fire's gone out, and they can't keep the fire going on the beach because there's not enough of them to really keep it going all day and all night. Is what they learn. So the fire dies out, and then they're like, we just can't keep this going, there's not enough of us. And then Piggy's like, well, we can let it stop for the night, because it's not really going to be, like, people aren't really going to see the smoke, and they're not really going to see the light if they're on the wrong side of the island, so we can just not do the fire at night, and that should be fine. And then that night, Jack and the hunters killed another pig, and they were going to hunt some more. They were going to steal the fire again, because they needed fire, because their fire went out. So they were going to steal fire again, but this time, since there was no fire, they stole Piggy's glasses, which really pissed Ralph off. He's like, look, if you wanted fire, you could have just asked, we would have given you some. So that really pissed him off. And then they go to question Jack about this in the morning after they prepared their spears and get some fruit to eat and whatnot. They prepare the spears for self-defense, because the hunters have already killed Simon. All right, so they know that they're capable of killing. So they go talk to Jack, and the hunters, right? They bring the conch shell, because whoever holds the conch gets to talk. And then, as they're going, as they arrive there, then there's like this big Jack is not there because he's currently out hunting, and then there's Jack does arrive. There's a big argument, and nobody really listened to Ralph. They listen to Jack now instead, and Jack is not willing to give back Piggy his glasses because he did nothing wrong. He's the one in charge. He makes the rules, and what he thinks it's not wrong. So therefore, it's right that he steals Piggy's glasses, and then Ralph and Jack kind of get into a little scuffle, and then Piggy's like, "Hey, wait, remember what we're here for, Ralph? We're here for my glasses so that we can start the fire and keep the signal going." And then Ralph backs off, but like this like argument still happens, and Piggy stands up for himself, real good like, but it unfortunately doesn't last for long. He can't really see, and Roger pushes down a boulder off of Castle Rock, which goes hurtling down, hits Piggy on like one side of his body, sends him spinning and tumbling down until he eventually falls off a cliff. Also, this destroys the conch shell as well. The impact sends Piggy tumbling off a cliff, where he falls and plummets to his death. And it's explained pretty gruesomely. Like, he falls, hits this like slab of granite, and like his head like completely like it's like splattered, like it's like described as like his brain is gone, basically. Like, and it's later in like the final chapter, Ralph is like, well, what would Piggy think? It's like, it doesn't matter what Piggy would think. His brain is gone. Like, he's missing his brain. And then the tide comes in and pulls Piggy's corpse also away. Sam and Eric also then get captured as well. They get captured before this and are forced to then join the tribe, leaving Ralph literally by himself. It is literally him. And then that night, he later sees that Sam and Eric are on guard duty for Castle Rock, because at this point they believe the hunters, or the tribe as they're now calling themselves, believe that the beast has shape-shifting abilities or something that can disguise itself and look like them. Anyways, that's how they're kind of coping that they killed Simon. So yeah, that happens. And so Ralph sees that Sam and Eric are on guard duty now, basically, and so he sneaks up and goes and talks to them. And then Sam and Eric reveal that in the morning, Jack is going to be hunting Ralph tomorrow. Like, Jack and all the hunters are going to be hunting him to kill him or capture him or something. They also say like Roger has a spear with two ends, which I don't know really what they were trying to imply with that saying. Either, like, I have three kind of theories. They were either saying that Roger's going to try to play both sides, or that he's going, or like that is meant as like a roast, like it's a roasting spit stick, or that it was supposed to be like, we're going to put your head on a spike and stick it in the ground, as like a warning. But I'm not sure what that means. Anyways, later there's a whole hunt sequence that it's very long. Like, he's running around, Ralph is running around all the island. The island catches on fire. I'm not sure how, but it does. And then Ralph runs and runs and runs, and inevitably ends up on the same beach where he runs into a ship captain, and they are rescued, presumably. It could also be a hallucination, and then Ralph is just killed off screen. But I don't know. Anyways, that's the plot of the book right there. Okay? So, there you go. So for characters, I'm only going to be talking about 3 characters because I feel like they're like the main focus of the book. I'm going to be talking about Ralph, Piggy, and Jack, because I feel like they're the ones that had the most attention and the most impact on the story, I would say. So I get characters 8 out of 10. I like the characters. Ralph was a little weird to me, because sometimes it seemed like he was not able to think. Like, at least that's how it was like kind of described, which I thought was weird, and I didn't understand that part very well. Anyways, let's start with talking about Ralph. So Ralph, I feel like he is the main character of the book. He is elected leader. At first, he kind of comes off as like a more of a free spirit who just wants to do what he wants, right? As most kids are. And then as the story goes on, we see kind of his growth in becoming a leader, dealing with responsibility. As in the beginning, we still see his free spirit side as he mentions the fire and then rushes up the mountain and wants to start the fire, only to realize that he can't, and then they light the fire anyway with Piggy's glasses. And then after the forest fire happens is when he really starts listening to Piggy a little bit more. I mean, he still doesn't for the most part, because he's like, screw you, Piggy. You don't know what you're talking about. You're trying to make me be responsible and stuff, and I just want to do what I want. Because Piggy really lays it into them. It's like, you look at all the destruction you're bringing onto this island. You could burn the whole thing down, and then what will we won't have anything to eat. We'll starve. We don't have any plan, or any homes or shelters. And also, he brings up the missing kid. It's like, y'all rushed up here, didn't give me any time to actually prepare. So yeah. And he grows a lot more sensible throughout the book as well. I will say the only thing that's kind of bad about his leadership capabilities is that he's a fairly lax leader. He doesn't really require that people do things, like when they're building the shelters, for instance. A lot of the people get bored building shelters, so like everybody worked together on the first one, and they make it really stable, really nice, and it's great, right? But then the next one there was fewer people, but they were still able to do it. And then when they get to the third one, it was literally him and like Simon, and then that was it. So anyways, also Piggy and Simon are basically like his voices of reason. So yeah. His lax leadership, he doesn't require people to do things, kind of leads to like the collapse of productivity, and is what I think kind of allows Jack to kind of steal that influence that he has as in the position of chief. It's because like Jack is like, you're all gonna hunt for food, you're all gonna do what I say, and you're gonna like it. Whereas Ralph is more like, hey, we should do this, and then if people don't do this, there's no repercussions, or there's no incentive to do these things, pretty much. But yeah, it's cool to see his growth though, as because he does become. I think he becomes more mature in the book, and it's an interesting dichotomy, I would say, between him and Ralph, because Jack actually starts from a place of authority, and then he loses it, right? But then he gives more into his free spirit whenever he becomes a leader again, and does whatever he wants, basically. Whereas Ralph starts more off as a more free spirit and like a child, and then as the responsibility of leadership kind of hits him, he starts becoming like more like an adult, I guess, is what you would say. More responsible, more fit to be in that leader role, more willing, like wanting to get things done and be productive so that they can be rescued, and like delegating tasks and whatnot. Anyways, Piggy, voice of reason Piggy, he is the most sensible character in this entire book, I think. He has very good ideas. Like he thinks that the first thing that they should have done before even setting the signal fire was build shelters on the beach. It's just that nobody listens to him except for Ralph later on. And I feel like a part of that is because he is kind of stuck up. he thinks he's, I mean, he's smart, but he can act kind of stuck up, and he can't really contribute because of his asthma. So I think that's why people don't really listen to him. It's like, well, yeah, you're just telling us all this stuff, but you're not doing anything, right? But later on, we get to see his own, kind of confidence a little bit build as he stands up for himself in the end. Basically telling them certain things. Like, he really does stand up for himself. Yes, right here. Where he goes, which is better, to be a pack of Indians like you are, or to be sensible like Ralph is? Which is better, to have rules and agree, or to hunt and kill? Which is better, law and rescue, or hunting and breaking things up? So, like, he kind of lays it into these hunters, like, hey, y'all, like, do y'all want to be rescued, or do you want to just be chaotic and have fun and live on this island forever? So he really lays it into him, and then he dies. Unfortunately, he gets killed by Roger and A Boulder and Gravity. But yeah, he really kind of stepped up there and set his mind, instead of cowering away like he does to the others, like aggressiveness that would irk him, and to Jack, because he cowers to Jack multiple times in the book. For Jack, I think I kind of already mentioned that he's kind of like a opposite of Ralph. But I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, I think I kind of mentioned everything that that Jack is. Yeah, I mean, we see that he's a terrible leader, though. Like, we see that he doesn't care about his followers, who he's in charge of. Like, from his first instance, I think, like, they arrive at the beach where Ralph is, and like they're all wearing their uniforms and stuff. But like the rest of the choir looks miserable, pretty much, because they're walking in like all blacks, and they look tired. And like Jack doesn't care, and we also see this again. Like, he beats the crap out of somebody. I don't remember who it was, but he was beating the crap out of him, and I don't know why, but he was. Like, he's kind of a terrible leader. But yeah, anyways, that's characters. For world building, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I didn't really care for it that much, mainly because of how the island is described. Made it kind of hard for me to picture what the island looked like. But it still gets good grade because, all the stuff with the Beast, phenomenal. Love that. Like, it was like watching like how the kind of like psychological decay from these like civilized schoolboys to becoming like savage tribal people is pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and I like that, because like the Beast is basically like this looming fear that kind of like corrupts their minds, because like they're scared of this thing, and then they want to. It's like, oh, we need to do these things to appease this beast that can kill us, which I think is interesting. Other than that, it's okay. I mean, it's just an island. Like, that's it. It's a generic, island in the Pacific or something. So, just like generic jungle forest, the island. And the Lord of the Flies, like, character itself, not very prevalent in the book called Lord of the Flies, to be completely honest. But, I mean, it's alright. Right? I think, characterization was fine. Anyways, emotional impact. Now, for this, I kind of already did mention, like, seeing that psychological decay of the civilized schoolboys becoming savages. very impactful, very cool. Death of Piggy, my goodness, crazy. That was crazy. But yeah, what I really love about this is how it uses the overactive imaginations of children to come up with a beast on the island, right? Now, this probably came from like multiple sources. Like originally, it was probably like a big snake, probably, and then that would explain how it like came out of the water and stuff, because snakes can swim, and then how that delusion then becomes later as like seen as like a real threat, even though it's not, was very entertaining. And like, I mean, they saw this humanoid beast with claws, even though it was just like a corpse that Simon later finds of like a paratrooper or something, basically like a human with a parachute, and that was it. That was the beast on the mountain, pretty much. We also see that imagination again with the Lord of the Flies. Simon is the one who actually calls it the Lord of the Flies, whereas Ralph runs into it. I mean, Ralph also runs into the same decaying pig head on that stick that Jack and them left there in the clearing. But for Simon, this was like a figure that scared. It scared both of them. It's just that Ralph didn't refer to it as the Lord of the Flies. He saw it like as this thing that knows something and is laughing at him as he tries and fumbles around to find the answers, and this thing refuses to give him any answers. And then there's the ending, which I really thought was going to be like a hallucination of Ralph's, but I don't think it was. I think that they were actually rescued, anyways. That's how that book ends, right? So it kind of makes you curious to what happened afterward, because like it could be that they killed Ralph on the boat so that he couldn't tell them that they killed the rest of the boys killed Simon and Piggy, or it could be did they all make it home safely? Were the members of the hunters punished for the killings of Simon and Piggy? Like, what happened to all that? Because like they were actually murdered by the other boys. So, and like, how are they, like, who do they tell? They don't know Piggy's real name either. They just have his glasses, and that's it. I guess they can look at the records, because like they were all schoolboys, so they could look at the records to see who survived, and then like how are they going to report to like Piggy's parents that he's dead, right? Anyways, emotional impact got a 9 out of 10 as well, and then structure also gets a 9 out of 10. It's kind of normal structure. There's got the beginning, middle, end of the story, right? End was phenomenal. Loved it, absolutely. The only note that I have for structure really is that the flow of time isn't really shown, I think, very well here, but I also think that works very well for this book because it's a bunch of kids stuck on an island. They're going to lose track of time. They're not going to know how long they were on this island for, and we can tell that they were on it for a long time only because they say like their clothes have become like rags, basically, and their hair is very long, and like Ralph constantly has to push it back out of his face. So they were clearly there for a very long time. Well, at least long enough for like their hair to grow out. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. But the final result comes out to be a 4.2 out of 5 stars. So yeah, if you liked the video, then please do leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch y'all in the next one. So, bye-bye.